Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Joining us today is Emily Metz, President and CEO of the American Egg Board. And Emily is coming to us from Japan this week. AEB has been on a trade mission and Korea, Japan, and you're looking to really boldly grow the market for U.S. eggs. So welcome, Emily. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning to you. It is evening time here in Tokyo, and we are excited to talk to you about what we've been up to this week abroad.
Very good. And for those of you that are joining us here online, we thank you for taking the time to tune in. If you have any questions, feel free to post those there in the chat area to the right-hand side of your screen. If you're joining us from social media, simply post your questions directly in those channels. So the American Egg Board, and I think you had some egg producers, I think 9, have been touring the Korea, Japan region. You just wrapped up in Korea and you just got to Japan, is my understanding. So talk to us, Emily. Talk to us about what's going on.
Well, we're excited, Sarah, because this trip is really the first international trade mission that AEB has ever done. And a lot has gone into this. We have backing up 3 years when I became CEO. We really had a head scratcher because I came from dairy. I spent time in pork. And as you know, pork is exporting almost 20% of its production every year overseas. Dairy is, hovers somewhere between 18 and 20 every year. And eggs are at 3.8%. And I was going, what's up with this? So, why aren't we moving in the export markets? And did a lot of conversations, and through our partnership with the U.S. Poultry and Egg Export Council, had some conversations with Greg Tyler and Jim Sumner before that. And everyone wants U.S. eggs and U.S. egg products. When I've traveled abroad as part of USDA trade missions, it's been clear from buyers directly who have said, we would love to have U.S. eggs. But our producers, I think, have struggled to see kind of the opportunity and the value. So part of this trade mission is really opening our producer leadership's eyes to the opportunities that exist in the world and looking at that long-term opportunity to really not only add value back to the farm, as so many other commodities have done through exports, but also manage our risk. And so we're at an ambitious course to double our exports over the next 5 years. And this trade mission is really our coming out party, our curtain drop moment on this to really build those export markets.
So this is really about getting your producers and getting them aware, creating that awareness, and then setting exports as a strategic priority is kind of what it sounds like.
100%. We've done a lot of research over the last year that's looked to identify the markets that have the best return on investment for our egg products. And we made the strategic decision not to walk away from table eggs, because there's certainly huge opportunity. And we do export a large part of table eggs right now to Mexico, sometimes to Canada, and sometimes even to Korea and Japan when the markets are right. But we feel like egg products, liquid and dried products can be very valuable in the export world. I think there's a little bit of slightly less logistical challenges to moving egg products. And we think that there's some huge opportunities to leverage those abroad. And so through the research, we identified 3 top markets for U.S. egg products to kind of be our first tranche of focus. And one of those is Korea. Another is Mexico, and another is the Philippines. And in working with our amazing advisors at USDA Foreign Agricultural Service, they helped really advise us that this region of Korea and Japan work so closely together. So they said, if you're coming over here, you really should do both. And we really should work to form lasting relationships in both countries, which is what this week is about. It's about those long-term lasting relationships and making those introductions.
So talk to us about how AEB is supporting the industry's ambitious plans to increase exports.
Well, we're doing it hand in glove, like I said, with USAPEAK, and so we really each have our strengths. So AEB, as I said, did this research that's helped to identify the priority countries, but we've taken that a step further, and within those countries, we've really identified the priority channels. So, for example, in Korea and Japan, the channels we've identified is bakery and kind of food service. And so looking at how we can work in bakery, and it might be interesting when I say bakery, I'm not talking the bakeries like we have in the United States. We've been amazed here in Korea this week. These bakeries are destinations. The South Korean government actually designates 14 master bakers and 6 grandmaster bakers. And we have launched partnerships with 2 of the 6 grandmaster bakers who have these stunningly beautiful, massive, trendy, high-end bakeries scattered across Korea. And they're making amazing products, baked goods. And what's amazing beyond just the beauty of these bakeries is that, if you get a muffin in the US, you're probably looking at about 7% by ratio of eggs in that muffin. In Korea, these products are using 30 to 35% by ratio of egg in their baked good because they have this deliciously spongy texture, this custardy type texture in so many of their products. And so it's an amazing opportunity for us, both from a volume perspective of just traffic in and out of these bakeries, but also in the recipes themselves. And egg products are really entering the market because they are so used to table eggs that we've had to really start an education process with these master bakers to really educate them about egg products and the functionality. And so part of this week was we had a massive seminar yesterday with about 50 master bakers and bakery assistants who have come to learn about egg products from some of these grandmaster bakers that we've partnered with. So it's been really exciting to see that.
Might be able to take some of that information back here to the domestic market and get us some really yummy bakery products.
I wish we could. We definitely, all of us were looking to ship some of this stuff back because it was delicious. And I think there were a lot of our farmers who were saying, why can't we have this stuff in the US? We got to work on that. So it is delicious.
And you mentioned, one of the challenges is just kind of that transportation as we export. Any insight you can provide there?
Well, it was interesting in Korea in particular, there and in Japan as well. And I think we'll hear this in the next couple of days. They've been struck by avian influenza as well. And what's interesting in both of these markets is they're extremely import dependent when it comes to food. And they have an aging farming population, which I know a lot of people would say, well, we have that in the US, but it is exacerbated in Japan and Korea. And so their agricultural production domestically is hugely on the decline. And then you enter in, avian influenza and some other health challenges for egg production and for layers. And you get into a situation where they become really dependent on imports. And I think one of the opportunities for us from the egg product side is we're able to ship frozen, whole liquid egg or egg yolks or egg whites over to these markets. And that shelf life in the freezer is massive. And so we can really help even out and stabilize their supply in cultures that love eggs, are very egg dependent, egg focused, not only as a center of the plate, but also hugely as an ingredient. And I think there's a real opportunity for that. And so I think what we've learned here, and I think we'll continue to hear it in Japan, is the logistical challenges are very few and the opportunity is massive for these buyers here when it comes to egg products from the US.
So you mentioned this is a very bold initiative in terms of increasing and doubling, I should say, the amount of exports. Is that going to have any impact, say, on the US egg market in terms of supply here domestically, or is the industry, able to really ramp up and make any kind of, needed adjustments?
We're definitely able to ramp up. I mean, we have the eggs. I one of the fun facts I always like to talk about is how there's a laying chicken for every American and then some in the US. And so and as you know, Sarah, across agriculture, we just get better and better at what we do. And so we're able to produce much more efficiently. And as we're bringing on new layers into the flock, we're doing that much more efficiently. No one does it like the US. And so we have to have a home for those eggs. And I think when we look at domestic consumption, certainly AEB is focused on, continuing to ensure people in the US love eggs. We're looking at new opportunities to put eggs into new products and new formulations for the domestic market. But I think we also need to look at the international markets as a way to find a home for those eggs and also ensure that value is returning to the producer. And that's hugely important. And I think, again, underscores the need for exports. And you've seen that in dairy, you've seen that in pork. I mean, 10 years ago, I think they were probably asking some of the same questions about, can we, ramp up to have exports, and they did it and are now having huge returns on that investment. And we need to have a piece of that action as well. So the time is now for eggs.
So what about the producer? You've been with them for a few days now because you've been to Korea. Now you're going to Japan.
Yep.
What's been the kind of some of their aha moments? Are they like, wow, we really just, we need to do this? Or is there still some apprehension? Where are they at in that process of buy-in?
I think there was definitely apprehension at the beginning, and we put out a call for volunteers. We have a couple of our executive committee members who are kind of our officers from our 36 person board. And then we have some other members and board members as well who are on the trip. And I think initially in coming over, I think even they would say, we didn't know if this whole thing was where we needed it to be. And in seeing kind of some of the partnerships we started to have, and in meeting and shaking hands with those buyers, last night we had a massive reception in Korea, and getting to hear directly from them, we would love US eggs, which is something I've had the opportunity to experience through a number of trade missions over the past 3 years, I think has really opened their eyes. We were talking at dinner tonight, and the excitement is very palpable. And so my hope is now that they go back and they talk to the broader producer community to say, it's time, we got to go. We need to redouble our efforts here. We need to redouble our investment, which is already something that's in the AEB strategic plan. We're going to invest more and more every year in this international marketing strategy, but getting that buy-in and that excitement to spread across the producer community is huge. We had a meeting with the ATO office, the Agricultural Trade Office in Korea, and on Tuesday, and one of the members of the office had offered to help, certify plants and complete some of that paperwork, which I think has been a mental block for some of my producers of saying it's such a hassle. There's so much red tape. We're not going to be able to get through it. And having our producers hear firsthand, there's support here for you. There's, people who can help navigate this for you. I had several of the members of the team who are on this mission hand over their business cards and have already followed up. So I think just hearing that there's the support there and the ability of someone to help navigate it for them and help partner with them, I think is kind of the spark that they've needed. And I think we'll see a lot of follow-up from that.
So speaking of follow-up, what's kind of next for AEB in this area? When you get back from this mission, what's kind of in the plans, in the works?
Well, certainly following up with the stack of business cards that we all have. We were all scribbling notes last night about who wants what sample and how do we get in touch and follow up with who. We'll obviously be working with USAPEAC very closely to continue to build out this strategy when it comes to bakeries and education in that sector in both Korea and Japan. And then we've got our sights set on a couple more trade missions next year. So we want to visit our other priority markets for egg products, both the Philippines and Mexico. USDA is going to be announcing its trade missions in the next couple of weeks, and I don't want to spoil the news for them, but there's some markets that are of great interest to us. So I think we'll probably be participating in those missions with some of our producers. And then our producers have asked us to take a hard look at table eggs as well. So we did this intensive research study for egg products, and we've been asked by our leadership to look at table eggs, to look at identifying those priority markets for now table eggs. And so we're going to do that research next year, and then continue to build this this strategy. We're building the plane as we're taking it off, but we're going.
Very good. Any final thoughts you want to leave our audience with today, Emily?
We're excited. I think the world is ours for the taking. And, what we've seen, especially this week, is eggs are beloved and they're so inherent to so many food cultures. I think, tonight, for example, our first meal in Tokyo, and right there on the dinner menu was, a rolled omelet. And I think our producers were so surprised that, especially here in Asia, eggs are not a day part. I think in the US, we struggle to break eggs out of that breakfast day part. And when you go overseas, that's not the case. People eat eggs morning, noon, and night. And so I think part of the excitement about fostering trade and fostering exports is not just finding a home for our products overseas, but it's also those shared learnings of what can we take back to the US and look to implement, in our own backyard as well, to really continue to grow consumption long term.
Very good. Our thanks to Emily Metz, President and CEO of the American Egg Board. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Sarah, and good night from Tokyo.
And good morning from the US. For those of you that are joining us here today, we thank you. We appreciate you for tuning in and spending a little bit of your time with us. A reminder that all Feedstuffs 365 segments are now available on feedstuffs.com. Simply go to feedstuffs.com, scroll down to the Feedstuffs 365 window, and you can click and watch all of the sessions. You can go back, share them, whatever you would like to do. Until next time, for Feedstuffs, I'm Sarah Muirhead.